Hello, my true crime lovelies. How are you? Hopefully, you caught my video earlier today or this morning about the probable cause and kind of giving you an overview of the trial for Lori Vallow Daybell in the murder of her husband, Charles. In that video, I talk about Alex being the one who pulled the trigger. He admitted he pulled the trigger. And I mean, a lot of us have siblings. I've got 8, at least that actually I have more than 8, but 8 that I'm in contact with or not hear about me. I don't have any sibling that I would be willing to kill for, is what I'm trying to get around to, right? And so I think you have to make that leap of, would your sibling kill for you, or would he kill for his sister? Would he have done that? And I've found some interesting videos. I know some of you guys suggested there was perhaps an inappropriate relationship with Alex and Lori. His wife had something to say about that, so I want to look at that video with you. And then we're going to hear about his words the last night with his wife and some kind of questionable things there. We talked about it in the live chat on the premiere for the video earlier, or I should say on Monday, because I'm not sure when you'll see that. For the Monday video, I'm not sure when you'll see this one. And so his wife talks about that, about the massage, about, what his thoughts were on his role with Chad and Lori. And then I have the autopsy for you. But let me do the intro before I forget. I want to make sure that I honor my over 300 members who I greatly appreciate. Thank you, members, for your support. Always thanks to Sugar Bear and my little Yorkies, Liberty and Justice, for your support and allowing me to do this. And if you're not a member, don't worry about it. If you like and you subscribe, that's plenty. If you don't have time for that, just watch. I appreciate you either way. Okay, let's get right into this. So first, we're going to listen and watch this video about the relationship of Lori and her brother, Alex.
Making it difficult.
It was playing without us.
Investigations, okay. Detective Coons.
Hi, Detective Coons. This is Debbie. I'm returning your call.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you for calling back.
Sure.
So, I'm not really sure. Did you provide the Chandler Police Department with a tip on a specific homicide investigation?
I did.
Okay. I didn't want to, lead into what the information was or anything like that, or even assume that it was you, because sometimes people play games with us online. So,
sure.
So I've read the information that you provided, and I'm assuming you typed the information out?
I did.
Okay. What is it that you can actually talk to us about regarding all of this?
Well, I can only share the conversation. So I was married to Alex many years ago, and our marriage ended within a year, but we stayed in very close.
I think I may I've said Zulema. This is a different ex-wife, so apologies if that's what I said.
Close contact for several years. And I spoke to Alex last, right after he had served time in jail for the assault on Joseph Ryan. And when he was telling me about it, now Alex, I'm sure you know from your investigation, was a comedian. And he was always joking about things in a funny way or trying to be funny. And he did tell me he was still really, really mad at Joseph Ryan because of things with his sister Lori.
Okay.
Custody issues. And he had told me that Joseph Ryan had possibly sexually abused the kids, Colby, as well as Tylee. But when I would ask Alex a lot of questions about it and try to dig deeper, then it would turn into, well, we're just trying to get custody. And he would flip-flop around quite a bit on whether or not that abuse had actually taken place, whether they had any proof it had taken place, or if they were just playing games to try to help his sister get custody. Mm-hmm. But in that conversation, he told me that he wanted to bait Joseph Ryan into a fight so that he could kill him. And if I had really at that time thought he was serious, because he said it in a joking way, but it was still creepy and weird. Weird enough that I never spoke to Alex again. That was the last time I ever talked to him. I just thought, okay, jail has not been kind to him. He's off his rocker. I really don't want to have this guy in my life anymore. Oh. So I just never spoke to him again. That was the last time. But he had told me he wanted to bait him into a fight so that he could kill him and claim self-defense.
Okay. And how long after how long after Alex had been released from serving his time that you guys had this talk?
I think it was probably 2-3 months.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure on the dates, but I know it was relatively soon after, just not immediately.
Okay. Did he ever go into any details of what he did to Joe or anything like that, or why he did that?
Yeah, he told me that he had tased him, and he told me that the reason he did it was because Joe was making it difficult for Lori to get custody of the kids. He also claimed that he did it as punishment for sexually abusing the kids. He said he thought Joseph deserved to die because of the sexual abuse. But really, Alex couldn't provide any. Well, I didn't feel, because I was like, well, are you sure? How do you know? Did you take the kids to a doctor? I was asking a lot of questions, and he just couldn't be straight with the answers. But those were his reasons that he stated to me that he had tased Joe.
Okay, and did he say that he had tried to kill Joe at that time, or was it something different?
He didn't say he was trying to kill him. He just wanted to hurt him.
Okay.
But he did tell me he wanted to kill him, but I took it more of, I want to kill that guy, just kind of conversational. I didn't think he would actually go do something like that.
Okay.
I was even shocked that he tased him. But I didn't even know about the tasing. I heard about it from Alex.
What do you mean you didn't know about the tasing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Alex had kind of fallen off the radar we hadn't talked for about a year. And so I just thought he kind of fell off the radar. And then we talked, and he told me where he'd been the last year and what he had done.
Okay. When did you guys get married?
We got married in 92.
So then you got divorced in 93?
Yeah. Yeah, that, I don't know that this helps anything with the investigation, but
OMG. Follow your instincts. Follow your guts, your gut instinct. When she's saying, I didn't think he was trying to kill him, but he said he wanted to kill him, it's a little bit confusing. Like, who jokes about that? I get that he's a comedian. It just is giving like Charlie Adelson and the Hitmen and the TV. Like, if it's a joke, it's not funny. And it creeped her out enough to not talk to him ever again. Do you know? So the backstory on that, from what I've been reading, you guys may know better than I. Let me know. I have no problem being wrong. Is that it was viewed as an attempted killing. He tased him, and he did 18 months in prison for that. And so I'm not sure, I guess you scared me, Liberty. When she had that conversation with him, like how far after he had gotten out of jail or prison, because it's more than 12 months. You know what I mean? But like, why? I don't know. I wish she would have said something. Remember when Jeff Lacoste said that when Wendy told him that Charlie had really looked into hiring a hitman a year ago, his like hair stood up? Man, I wish everybody would follow their instincts and go immediately to the police. But that's my little soapbox. I'm going to get off of it now, and we can go back to this.
As soon as I married him, I didn't know his family before we got married. We dated, whirlwind romance, got married. Then I got to know the family. And there were so many crazy dynamics in that family and I've gone back since all of this came out and read my journals from that period of time. And there was just a lot of crazy dynamics in that family back then. And it caused a lot of issues right away. And it actually made me scared and nervous.
How so?
And we thought about, because there was a lot of inappropriate sexual touching and things going on in the family, particularly between him and his sister.
So between Alex and Lori?
And Lori.
Okay. You kind of got me at a loss on this one. What do you consider inappropriate sexual touching?
They were simulating sex acts, and which is not normal to me for a brother and a sister.
Hold on.
Sister.
So between Alex and Lori?
And Lori.
Okay. You kind of got me at a loss on this one. What do you consider inappropriate sexual touching?
Like they were simulating sex acts, and which is not normal to me for a brother and a sister.
Me either, girl.
For example, he would pick her up and she'd wrap her legs around his waist, and he would kind of bounce her up and down on himself.
Okay.
In front of me, and they would moan and simulate sex acts. And I have brothers, and I would never act like that with one of my brothers.
Amen.
Okay. And his mom and dad talked about their sex life in front of us constantly, and it just kind of seemed to be a game for them.
Oh, the mom and dad didn't really object to it then, huh?
No, not at all. All of this was going on in the family, in front of everybody. They had no shame.
Okay. So that obviously was kind of an alarm for you, I'm assuming, during your marriage.
Yeah.
And did it continue? Was it more than one time that you saw it?
Yeah, it was just about every time we were with them. Now, Alex and I only lived together married for about 4 or 5 months. And then I just knew that family was too weird, that I had made a big mistake. And so I got out.
Okay. So at the time, were you guys part of LDS?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, both of us had been baptized, but neither one of us were being active.
Okay.
And I was only baptized and active for a year of my life anyway. I wasn't really raised LDS.
Alrighty. How did Alex talk about Lori?
Well, he was a really, really protective big brother, but he also talked about her being hot, and he sexualized her quite a bit. But he was just also really, really protective. We lived in the same apartment complex for a while, and it just kind of seemed like Alex just chased after her a lot.
Did you ever suspect anything more going on other than their playfulness, I guess?
Well, I asked him because he did touch her breasts and things, but they were allowed to do that in their family. So to him, he didn't think it was weird. He thought I was weird for thinking it was weird. And so we talked about that stuff a lot, but I didn't think he was sleeping with her.
Okay.
I just thought he had the liberty to touch her.
Did you ever confront him on that?
Yeah, I did. And I confronted him on, what about when we have kids?
What are the odds that they're touching each other sexually and it ends there? I mean, I hope it ends there, but like if you're touching each other's naughty bits, things are getting moist, things are getting hard, then you just walk away. Why are you even going up to the edge? Do you know what I mean? I want to hear what she has to say about when they have kids, though. Goodness gracious.
Would you allow that between our kids? And he just didn't think that there was anything wrong with what was going on.
Okay.
So we thought about it.
I bet you did.
So you mentioned that he was a protective big brother. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
Well, he just, she had been married. She got married really quickly. I think she ran off to Las Vegas, and this was right before I married Alex. I think she ran off to Las Vegas with she married a guy and then came home, and Alex would just always talk about how he wanted to go kick his ass.
Was this Joe or was this somebody else?
No, this was someone else. She got married when she was like 18.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't approve of her choice, and she did run away and elope. And the minute she got back to California, their dad, Barry, made her divorce him. And so Alex was like really, really bothered by that. But if anybody kind of looked at her wrong or treated her how he thought was not right, then he was always talking about how he wanted to kick their ass.
Okay. And did you ever see him take steps to that?
No. I really thought he was all talk and no action on that.
Okay.
He always just talked really tough back then.
How old were they when you guys got married and you saw this behavior?
I was 22 and Alex was 24.
Okay. And I'm unfamiliar with how much older Alex was than Lori.
I'd say 3-4 years.
3 to 4 years. So, okay.
Yeah.
So she was maybe 20, 21 at the time?
Yeah. Yep, okay. That sounds right.
Okay. And this, where was this at? What state?
Utah.
In Utah?
Mm-hmm. Lori and Alex both lived here in Utah. And then we just went to California a lot. And so a lot of the inappropriate behavior that I saw, I didn't see any of that in Utah. All of the inappropriate behavior I saw was in California at their mom and dad's house.
So anytime that you guys went to visit the parents, that's when you saw this behavior?
Yeah.
Okay. And otherwise, how was his behavior at the apartments other than, I guess, kind of touching her?
At the apartments, I didn't really see them interact too much. It seemed like here in Utah, she had her friends that she ran around with, and Alex and I were always together. And so I didn't see a whole lot of interaction. I just remember a lot of the conversations about him wanting to beat up the guys she was dating. And he was always kind of obsessed with where she was going and what she was doing, but we didn't do a lot with her.
Okay. And is that also during that time frame that he would refer to her as being hot, or would that be only when you were visiting the family?
No, that was, during that time he would talk about how hot she was.
Okay. And to your knowledge, are they biological brother and sister?
They are, to my knowledge.
Okay. And you never talked to him after that last comment where he stated he was going to try to bait Joe into a fight?
Yeah, nope. That was the last time I talked to him.
Okay. And forgive me, would that have been in 2009?
Yeah.
Or would that have been a little later?
No, I think it was 2009 when I was doing the math.
Okay. But it was
right after he had just been in jail.
Okay. And you said like a couple months maybe after he got out.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird that he would be in jail for tasing this dude? And then as soon as he gets out, he's talking about wanting to kill him. And also the allegations against him doing inappropriate things with the children seems manufactured. This is rough. They did so many people so wrong.
Correct.
Okay. And at that point, did you ever hear of Alex being violent to anybody other than the event with Joe?
No, I hadn't. Like I said, I really thought Alex was all talk and no action. And so I never thought that could happen.
Okay. Did Alex ever...
I was shocked by the tasing.
Well, I can imagine if you've never seen that type of behavior, I can certainly imagine the shock that could come from that. Did Alex ever talk about religion with you or any ideology that he had?
Yeah, he did. While he and I were married, he got excommunicated from the Mormon church. And then over the course of the years of our communicating after our divorce, I know that he said he got rebaptized and then he got excommunicated again. And then I just don't think he ever bothered to try to get rebaptized, but he was always really, really convicted in the faith. He had very strong opinions, but where Alex is weak is he was just sexually promiscuous. And so then he just kept getting kicked out of the church because I think he was a sex addict.
So what makes you think he was sexually promiscuous?
Oh my goodness, because he told me. He would tell me. He couldn't control sex. He would find it wherever he could find it.
And is this after you were divorced?
And it was before also. I was just foolish and thought, oh, he's married now, so that's going to be over. But we were actually when we first moved in together, we were living in Texas. And he had told me about his struggles with sex addiction before we got married.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't really understand what that was at 22. And so I thought, oh, okay, we get married and it's over. But when we were living in Texas, then I had been wanting to move back to Utah because I didn't like living in Texas. And he wanted to stay. But then all of a sudden he came home from work one day and said, okay, we're moving. Pack up the car. Let's go. I didn't ask questions because I was excited to leave. So we packed up the car and we left, but it was really hurried. And we even left some things behind. So once we got back to Utah, I found out that actually he had slept with a 15-year-old girl while we were living in Texas. And her dad had found out. And so her dad was going to come find him.
Gotcha.
So that's why we left.
I'm going to take care of this problem on my own type of a deal.
Yeah. So Alex... That was why Alex came home and said, okay, we're leaving right now.
Okay.
And we were already married at that point, but that did play into our divorce. There was just too much promiscuity.
Sure.
Surrounding sex in our marriage early on.
So infidelity then, I'm assuming, was part of the issues?
I only know about the 15-year-old girl. Mm-hmm. I only know about that one. And then the other sex issues for us were really the situation with his sister.
Okay, this is rubbing me the wrong way. The infidelity with a 15-year-old, no, that is sexual assault. A 15-year-old cannot consent. Oh my God, don't get me started. You guys know. Like that, I would have reported him. Never mind what the daddy was going to do. The long arm of the law was going to do a few things too. Wow.
The situation with his sister
just the touching and the touching and the things that we've already talked about.
Okay.
It was just so blatant all the time when we were around her. And it was always Lori. He didn't act like that with his other sister Summer because Summer was really, really young. And he didn't act like that with his older sister Stacy. He only acted like that with Lori.
Okay.
And then he had the nerve to gaslight her and say, like, of course this is normal, while he's rubbing on her breast and she's riding horsey from the front. Like, what? Wow. I mean, it's not far-fetched that they were doing inappropriate more than what she saw inappropriate, right?
Okay. So since all of this stuff has obviously been hitting the media, have you been contacted by any other family members or anyone else and provided information with the intent that they wanted you to say this or anything like that?
No, I've actually really, really kept a low profile because I don't want to be in the news. I don't want my kids felt a responsibility to at least say what I heard in that last conversation. And it's taken me a while to even get to you because I left a tip on the Gilbert police and I left a tip at Idaho and I left a tip at the FBI and didn't ever hear from anyone. And then it was just this last week I realized I should have left a tip with Chandler. But no, I haven't been contacted. No, I'm not even sure that people can find our marriage and divorce license because it was just so long ago.
Where was that? State?
We got married in Wyoming.
And was it pretty much a know-nothing deal for the divorce?
Yeah.
Okay. Since there's no kids in common?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank God.
All right. So I'm asking this next question because it's going to get asked one way or the other. So it's not to be judgmental or anything like that. But why come forward now this far down the road from when the investigation started?
Well, like I said, at first, I couldn't even believe it. When I saw it on the news, I thought, I can't believe this happened. And then after about a month of that, then I did start trying to reach out. I tried all of those agencies that I told you about.
Okay. When did you actually first hear about this? December of last year?
Yes.
Okay. And that was because of the search for the kids and or the death of Alex or what?
No, it was it was the search for the kids. I was watching the news one night.
Okay, and
it came on, and I was just floored.
Okay. All right. I'm going to just let you know that we record our conversations just because the prosecutors want that done. But I'm going to stop the recording now so I can actually ask for your personal information. Okay. So just kind of.
Okay. Can I tell you one thing though? Because I don't want to leave anything out.
Yes.
When I first found out, very first, I did reach out to Alex's sister, Summer, through Instagram and just said, because I heard Alex had died. And so I reached out to his sister, Summer, and I said, I'm just so sorry to hear about Alex. And her response was, don't believe what you're seeing in the news. And that was it. There was no other contact, but I just didn't want you to think that when you asked me if I'd talked to anyone, I talked to Summer, but that was the only exchange, and that's all it was said.
And that was with Instagram?
Yeah, and that was probably actually in December when I first heard that Alex had passed away and
the
that there was a problem.
Missing. Yeah.
At that point, I just still couldn't believe that actually he could have done something like this.
Sure.
So I was sad he died.
It is it is one of those things that we tend to not see in people, and then we have an even harder time believing it when we hear of it.
And
yeah,
it
took me a minute to believe this was actually happening, but I would say, and I'll be honest, I was scared of being in the news because my kids don't. And I thought, well, the police are going to find everything that they need. But I just couldn't get past what Alex had said. And while he may not have done that plan to Joseph, I don't know that he didn't do it to Charles. And I just couldn't live knowing he had said something like that to me and not pass it on.
And I appreciate the fact that you are reaching out to us to provide this information to us. So I'm going to ask you, if we have additional questions, is it okay to reach out to you?
Of course.
Okay. So I'm going to stop the recording now so I can get the additional information.
Okay. This is Zulema and the unusual massage that was offered to her.
Possible explanation.
And the other thing that I remember that I was telling Garrett was that when we were in Vegas, I don't know if you guys knew, but Alex was a massage therapist, and my back was bugging me, and after the trip there in the car, and he said, he's like, I'll just give you a massage and just fix your back. I'm like, okay. So, but for some strange reason, this is really weird. Like, for some strange reason, at the time, of course, I didn't think anything about it, but now I'm like all creeped out about it. He said that we needed to climb to Walmart because he wanted to buy this big, huge piece of plastic to put on the bed so the oil didn't get on the bed. But it was one of those ones that you put on the floor when you paint. Okay. And we went to Walmart and we got it and he put it on the bed.
And this was when you were in Vegas?
When we were in Vegas, yeah. It was the day after we got married.
So you put it on the bed?
Yeah.
And he gave you the massage, and then what did you do?
The weirdest thing about it was that, and this is where it gets even weirder, because after that, I fell asleep. Okay, because I was so relaxed after.
The day after they got married. Creepy.
The massage, I was so relaxed, I fell asleep, and then I remember waking up. I was in and out, and I could hear him talking, and I was like, "Who's he talking to?" And I kept trying to wake up, and finally, I made myself wake up, and I'm like, "Alex," I'm like, "Who are you talking to?" He's like, "Nobody. I was talking to myself." I'm like, "Okay." So then I remember I took a bath, and I said, let's watch a movie. And he was on his phone, I think playing his game or something. And he was super quiet. It was totally eerie for Alex, because Alex usually he was joking, and he would say something and he would find one way or another to make it into a joke and make it funny. And he was always making you laugh and laughing at himself or making a joke.
So he was a comedian and a massage therapist. Does anyone know what he did to actually earn money?
About something, but he said nothing for the rest of the evening. Nothing.
Well, that's really weird. That he had you lay on plastic.
So maybe I'm just a little too crazy now because of all the stuff that's happened, but in my back of my mind, I keep thinking that who was on the phone was Chad and Lori, and that was supposed to be my last day, and he was supposed to.
And it very well could have been. When you woke up, did you feel like,
Froggy?
Did you feel normal? I mean, did you feel like when you said you were in and out of consciousness, like you were trying to wake up or you didn't feel right?
Like I was really down, like I was really, really like one of those ones when you're like trying to wake up and you can't wake up kind of thing. Like I was thinking, why am I so relaxed and I can't wake up kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Did you feel drugged?
Drowsy, like I was kind of like really like drowsy. I was like,
What time of day was it?
in the middle of the afternoon.
Did he give you anything to drink before that? Or make you a drink or fix you anything to eat?
I don't know. I mean, I remember us going to get something to eat, and then we came back to the hotel, and I remember we did have some drinks with us. Like, you know, I don't know, maybe I might have had like no, I didn't have a Red Bull that day. I had something with me. Might have been a water or something, I don't know, with me. Like, I always use the little cup, and I didn't like to use the little glasses. I always have my glass with ice and whatever it was that I was drinking at the time.
So did he give you a massage? I mean, did you have oil on?
Not enough to
use?
More to drop off.
But I dropped off, you know what I mean? It just didn't. At the time, I had no question about it. Now I'm like, why would you necessitate a whole drop cloth all over the bed to give me a massage? That
To
just
roll
doesn't
you
make
up.
sense to me at all.
So
And then the fact that he was quiet for the rest, that he said nothing, like nothing after that. He was quiet, and that's so not Alex. Alex is not quiet.
So did you ever ask him like, man, why did we need all that or what?
No.
And so you heard him talking to somebody.
Mm-hmm. And I believed him that he was talking to himself, at the time. You know what I mean? Trusting him completely.
And that was right after you got married.
The day after. Yeah, it's really weird.
It is super weird.
It's super weird. Especially because he wasn't talking. And I even asked him, I said, hey, are you okay? Like you're so quiet, and you're usually not quiet like this. He's like, I'm just tired. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, I'm going to leave you alone then so you can rest. So I left him alone. He didn't say anything else. So I ended up watching him again from it. When I was like, keep this one. Dream. I gave it the keys.
And it's little things like that we're super interested in. So if anything like that comes to you again, something that you may think is super small, please let Garrett know or
We'll communicate it to you for sure.
That was super weird.
let us know. Yeah, just little things like that help us put pieces together. Was that the only time that happened?
Did he give you massages before?
No.
Did he since then?
No.
So that was the one time he offered to give you a massage.
When we would get together, sometimes he would come and he would put his fingers on my neck and go. He would say, "What is it with you people? With you translate to people that have such big, stressful shoulders or something like that?" He would say that, but I wasn't the only one that was receiving it. He would do it to everybody else, just kind of like relax, the neck. And then when we got back from Vegas and we were in my house, sometimes in the morning I have a really hard time waking up, and then in the mornings I would like.
So to be fair, he could have been a touchy-feely person, right? I don't know. I just, the hopping on and the breast touching of the sister is too much.
Turn my melon off and just sit there trying to get out. And I remember he would rub his finger up and down my back and go, "You pick it up, you can wake up," kind of thing, like kind of waking me up, and not a massage like he did that.
So when you woke up from that massage, did you feel like you were way too groggy than you should have been?
I was super, I thought, I'm like, oh my goodness, he's like, well, must be a really good, massage therapist because I am so relaxed right now. Like I am like so relaxed. Like I felt like, like when you get out of like the sauna, when you get out of the sauna, you're like so relaxed, you could actually take a nap.
So you didn't feel out of it.
No,
It was just relaxed.
very relaxed. Yeah, it's super. What's really weird though was that in and out that I had when I was laying on the bed.
So do you think you were drugged or
I
not?
could hear him talking, and I was trying to wake up, but I kept going back down, and then I kept hearing him again talking, and I couldn't discern what he was saying. I could just hear him talking, and he was in the bathroom talking.
He kind of talks to himself much.
Well, not really. Not like that. Like, he was actually having a conversation. Like he sounded like he was having a conversation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when I talk to myself, I'm always like, say one thing or two things.
They don't go to McDonald's for lunch.
Yeah, something like that. But no,
it's Wendy's, you know.
he was having a conversation. So it, now of course putting all this together and processing after, over a year, I keep thinking that he was actually on the phone with somebody when this was happening. There was no way that he was going to necessitate a big old drop cloth for that band to give me a massage.
When you guys got married or prior to get married, did you guys talk about insurance or life insurance or did you add him to anything or did he add you to anything?
No, that I know. A couple people asked me that too. But I wasn't the one that I wouldn't have had any knowledge of that, but Lori would. Because Charles was in that business.
And her dad was in that business as well. Okay, let's do this. It's 6 minutes for this autopsy. I will start it off at regular speed and we'll see how it goes. If you're watching this, well, everybody's going to be rewatched because it's recorded. You can slow it down on your side if it's too fast.
911, where is your emergency?
I have a older male here named Alex. He just passed out here on my bathroom.
He is breathing. Where is he at?
He's on his side.
Okay. Can you lay him flat on his back on the ground?
I'll try. It's just there's feces on the ground.
Okay. I know that's gross, but if we can just go ahead and get him flat on his back, I want to make sure he's breathing.
Alex.
Cox was found unresponsive in his bathroom and later pronounced dead at the hospital. The medical examiner attributing his death to blood clots in his lungs.
So that's as far as I wanted to go. Northwest, I think it was you in the chat earlier who said that he had blood clots in the lungs, and I had asked, like, is that possible, like through drug use? And Emmy said it was natural causes. So I don't understand the whole situation. Like, how did the feces get on the ground? Did he not make it to the toilet? But then it sounds like he was on the toilet. He's just a big enigma, Alex is, all around. Yeah. The whole sex addiction thing and the 15-year-old, I don't know. I don't think anybody's missing him. I'll just leave it at that. Good Lord. I mean, maybe his mama, but she's always going to miss you. And you're not supposed to bury your children. So my heart goes out to her in that regard. But wow, he does not sound like a good egg, but nobody's the villain in their own story. Was he protective of her because it was his younger sister, or was he jealous because he was sexually attracted to her, even if they didn't go further than the attraction? Do you know? Because he's not that way with the other two sisters, according to the previous wife. So what do you guys think? So I just wanted to give that context before we go into his interrogation. There's going to be 2 videos. That will be what we do next. And I'm going to save Lori's for last. And we'll compare the contradictions therein, because there are a few. Like, he says she was not there at all when the shot happened, and she says she is. But that's just scratching the surface. There's a lot. So we'll get into that later. But let me know what you guys think. Did you guys know about the attraction? Like, that one of his former wives, said they had done physically inappropriate things in front of her? Because that was new to me. I was like, say what now? Huh? What? Okay, let me know what you think down below. Toodles!